the big thing taught to me by my father and my grandfather was that Mother Nature is the greatest healing power of anything if you give it a chance. And that's a lot of what this is. And so I think a lot of our projects is, yes, we have to be innovative in things we do, but give her a chance. She can heal a lot of things very quickly too.
We want nature to manage nature. Something as simple as a cow having a baby calf. When do you want that cow to have the baby calf? When you look around you, you can say, when do the deer have their fawns? You know, when is nature going to best support this young life? So we try to not only organically manage, but to leave our hands out of it. By God's design, things work. By ours, a lot of times they fail.
Came 180 degrees since 5 years ago. Always looking for ways to improve our grazing and whatnot, but I was at a conference in Missouri and I saw a rainfall simulator demonstration, and that really triggered some thoughts and ideas, especially on how much runoff there was on the hay ground compared to continuous or rotated pasture, which in my mind, that was always the hay ground it should be as good or better than the pasture without any of the cattle compaction and whatnot, but it was significantly worse. And so from there, I went to some classes on different rotational grazing practices, and we got pretty heavy into the rotational grazing, and we're still working on that. We're moving most of our cows now, either 1 to 3 days moves, quite a few of them on daily moves, and giving that ground 30 to 60 days rest, 45 days in most of them, and seeing the increase in the soil health when you go to digging holes and see the structure differences that we're gaining. I have no doubt that there's gaining, and the water infiltration and the soil structure, just when you drive out across the fields when it's wet, the fields that we've been at it the longest with our rotation are so much firmer, yet the water infiltration is better. It's just got so much better structure. I mean, if we could change our water infiltration from a 1/2 inch an hour to 5 inches an hour, there wouldn't be very few floods. And it's not that difficult. Increase our dung beetle activity. And so that was one of the reasons we quit using insecticides, to see if we could gain more in a more natural way. And it's worked to some degree, and I think our earthworm, our dung beetle populations, all of our insect populations have gained from that. Beneficial insects. That's the funny part too. They talk about the Brix testing of stuff and sugar levels in plants, and going back to the insect thing. So like your grasshoppers, locusts and whatnot, they can't digest high energy foods. This regenerative agriculture and got healthier soils, the grasshoppers are leaving their plants alone because it'll naturally kill them.
Now we're in the black. That just speaks for itself. For whatever to run with the cattle to soak up some of the parasites that the cattle may get. She says absolutely not to the sheep or the goat. So this was my solution. I did not know you had to raise them to 6 months or a year before you could turn them out. I thought 6 weeks we'll kick them out with the cows. That's not the case. You have to keep them for 8 months to a year supposedly before they'll survive and really flock up, stay together, and win. Which to me, this is too much input, but for the benefit that I'll potentially get out of these birds, I think it's worth it. If I can get to where I don't have to worm a cow,
that would be amazing.
It is. Herbicide management in an orchard, there's a lot of herbicides that you can put on that are going to kill nut production. Well, I need that nut production, and the way that we share crop things, they need the nut production. If they want to be profitable, I need to be profitable.
How have neighbors and family taken to your methods?
It's an argument. You know, there's those people out there that like to argue or debate.
We like to live differently. We like our freedom. We like to make our own choices, and we like to do things how it fits us rather than how we're told to do it. So I think even though we're so different, those ideals are the same.
Mm-hmm.
It does work out.
We really didn't know anything about soil health then, but I love Eastern Gamma grass, which is like the perfect grass for anybody that eats grass. It is incredibly palatable. It's called the ice cream of grass. So the first year we were here that spring, I planted that field down there and a little patch down here in Eastern Gamma grass. I can't afford to go native grass, so I'm going to go Bermuda. And then, the big part of the journey is learning you were wrong and being willing to admit, well, we were wrong. We didn't know any better. We were ignorant. So, then those fields that are in Bermuda, we spend all this time diversifying to achieve that diversity. So this is 3 months worth of growth after the cows left. I admit it's not pretty, but it's a lot of biomass. As those soils have healed up, they're working pretty much like they're supposed to.
I toy with a little cover crop every year. I'll put some spinach and something that overwinters and all of that kind of stuff, just to keep something green out. Yeah. And so this is a little pea crop. If they make, great. If they don't, then it'll be okay. It'll be fine. But that farm to table piece, it starts at those local farmer markets. So a little bit of a creek we do have a creek that runs from east to west along the northern side of our property. And so that's one of the reasons why we don't do a lot of grazing on the bottom that's next to the creek. And then we only harvest the hay every other year. So we don't do a complete hay harvest every year. No, we allow that to come back every year. What I did was I learned in the pasture in the back there that if I put those round bales in a certain area and then grab a drag to kind of spread those nutrients over a little bit of a patch, if you will, the grasses responded toward the spring. And so what I did was a couple of bare spots that just didn't have enough, organic matter to actually regenerate and regrow. It was kind of sponsored between the equip for the well and the Oklahoma Black Historical Research Project. Mr. Willett Tillman came out, and we were able to work together as a partnership to get the solar well put in. And we're looking forward to showcasing this on our upcoming field days. So this will be an area that we'll share with different producers what they can do as far as getting surface water to their livestock. So what we had was under equip, we had the well put in to this pasture, and this past, what was that? What's this? It had to be around the mid to late summer. Yeah, we pulled the two probes, which kicks in the pump. We'll hear it kick in here shortly. Hear it?
Very cool.
Yeah. Next project that we'll have is we'll do smaller paddocks to break up this pasture to increase our ability to rotational graze. So that's what'll start this fall. Just as soon as we get a little cooler weather and a lot of the
the those ragweeds and types will kind of die off and help me out with my allergies. Then we'll get out here and we'll start working that cross fencing. That that to me is when you really get it. You realize that, hey, there's a purpose for this, and it's not to be mowed. You want to share that with your pollinator friends.
See our fence line where it ends simply because where the cedar trees begin is not our property. To the north there, notice how up on all the high plains, I would call it, up on the knolls, the top of the ridges, you don't see the cedars. What you're seeing is, like he said, the stuff that we can't get to, or that hasn't burned because they're in the canyons. The fire wasn't quite hot enough. When you look to the south here and look at all those cedar trees, that is not us. That is the neighbors. And that is what it used to look like.
When was this pond built?
I think it was 2011. This was just one big red scar up here, and we've been reseeding and planting grass and everything. Because there was a lot of earth moved in the process of this. This is a giant dam.
It's a heritage deal. I'm a fourth generation. I have sons, I have grandchildren, and I'm hoping that they want to carry these things on, because that was what was instilled in me. Most important thing is understanding that I feel I have a God-given responsibility for these. And but the greatest thing that I speak of while we're doing this, let's make it a learning place. Let's make it a learning place, okay? So our children and grandchildren won't have to get later in life, 40 or 50 years, and go, oh, wow, eureka, I just figured that out. They're going to understand as a part of life that, you do make an imprint, and everyone does make a difference, some smaller and some larger. But my biggest dealing with GRDA, and they agree that we will use these as teaching points, and that's very, very important to me, because, I own the land, but, to me, scripturally, or whatever you want to call it, I'm just a steward of the land. It just passes on and goes. I don't really own natural resources, but I guess they're titled to me, and I have. But I feel a large responsibility that not only that I protect what I have, but maybe perhaps that I enhance them for future generations. It's always been a desire of me to do a lot of things I'm doing, but there's no way in the world it could have happened. I mean, it would have had to been a 50-year plan. But with EQIP programs, NRCS, RCPP, and now GRDA, that's allowed it to be in my generation, or it couldn't have been. I simply could not have put guys. I have agreed to with GRDA, who's working through the Oklahoma Conservation Commission on the project. I'm agreeing with them that I'm going to be ambassador to go out to my neighbors and all that to sell, because it will make my project better if that guy on that end and that guy on that end all does that. So, and they're all wanting to know more about it. A lot of us farmer ranchers, we all get together. I attend a lot of conservation deals, and we get there and we're all like preaching to the choir about how great this is. And you get up and give a speech, and they're all like, oh yeah, well, they already agree with that. We need to step out of the box and involve people outside of this and work with them and let them understand. It's easy to stay comfortable amongst ourselves, but we need to be out talking to other people. We need to be out talking to corporations. We need to be talking to people that are in the city areas that don't understand what we're doing, and find out how we can all share and we can all enjoy these natural resources.